Okay, so we'll just get started. Thank you all for joining. This is the title of this session, so building multiple websites on single installation with domain access. So we'll be talking about the domain access module, great big module which I used lately on. Actually now I'm building the third website that I'm using it, so I wanted to talk about this module on this camp. First of all, probably asking this question, who am I? Well, actually I'm a Drupal teamer, developer, and partly even an architect. So I've been working with different CMS, proprietary and open CMS software before, and I'm using Drupal not very long. About 3 years ago, I started with Drupal 7. So I just had a small look at Drupal 6 when I started, and at that time Drupal 7 came out. So actually, I'm pretty new in the Drupal. I'm a freelancer as Corius. This is actually the company I am at, but I'm freelancing for most of my work is freelancing for other companies. And I'm active in Drupal community. That's why this orange T-shirt is. This is just something about me. What is domain access? Well, actually, this is first of all Drupal contrib module. You can find it on Drupal.org project domain, and it helps you to have multiple domains on one installation. So you can set multiple domains inside one installation, one database, everything in one installation, but with multiple domains. It allows you to share content between these domains, so you can have content for only on one domain or on 3 different domains. It allows you to set different settings for each domain. So you have almost every setting that you have in Drupal can be specified for which domain the setting is allowed. You have, of course, additional permissions to control access. And you have the integration with other modules. We will talk about this later when I will describe each of these points in detail. This is actually the description from the module page, which in one sentence tells you basically everything what this module is. So it provides a suite of modules that provide tools for running a group of affiliated sites from one Drupal installation and a single shared database. So a little bit more about this module. Those of you who already built installations with multiple sites, you know that you have to specify for each. You have to specify folders for each page. This is good if you have different pages and you have only one core. But when you have pages that are associated to each other, affiliated, when you have content that has to be shared between these pages, then it's not enough because each of these pages usually have its own database. So you don't mess nothing with folders, and you can do everything inside Drupal. So you just install the module, enable it, and everything what you set is inside Drupal. All you have to do, this is the only thing you do with the code, is to include one file from the Drupal module folder. So this is the only thing you have to do. You have to put this line into settings.php. And of course, these sites, all modules can vary depending on your environment. So maybe it's sites, domain name, and this includes settings.include file. It uses Drupal node access system. For those of you who know what Drupal node access is, node access system, it's actually Drupal node access system, which allows you to tell user on which domain, which content is viewable for user that you are, for your user permissions. So it also has powerful API, lots of hooks inside, so you can play around if there's something you need, if there's something that's missing for you that you would like to change. There's lots of hooks inside this API. You also have domain tokens for use in different modules, and you also have drush comments. So for those of you who use drush, who like to work from command line, this is one example. Just drush domain lists you all the domains that you've set, and you have additional drush comments. So we'll just go feature by feature from those basic features that are the most important for starting and for building one site. So setting domains is easy. Here you can see 5 different domains. This is the page that I will be showing you later that I've been working on, and this is just the names and domain names which will be seen later. So you will see that these names will go through all the presentations, and I will tell about it a little later. So when you're setting domains, you have domain, actually your site name, so public visible site name, your domain, you have the ID, you have the option whether the domain is active or not, and you also must have one default domain, because we will also talk about this later, because one domain has to be default in case of some redirections or something. You must tell Drupal which site is the default domain. So about sharing content, when you're adding a new node, or when you're editing a node, new section is available in node editing form, actually in the tabs of the node editing form that are at the bottom, which just tells you on which domain would you like to publish this content. So if you only want to publish it to one site, actually to one domain, and you just tick one box. If you want to multiple sites, you tick multiple. You can also you also have an option to send to all affiliates, and this setting overrides all the settings below, because it sends this content to all the available domains, to all affiliates. Then you also have per domain settings. So as I said before, I will show you this later. Just all the settings in Drupal are saved per domain. So you can see this here, that there is a box at the bottom which says domain specific settings, and if you want to save some setting only for one domain, then you can do it like this. Of course, you can also check all domains, and this setting will apply to all available domains. This is, I will show you later, this is very useful for date and time settings, for something else, when you know that different domains have different types, especially if you're dealing about different countries on different domains. Also, a bunch of permissions. This is just the basic administer domain record, access inactive domains are basically all for administrators, but then you can assign editors to domains, set domain access status, publish, unpublish content, delete any content, and here are missing after you create node types. You have options for each node type. So if you have a basic page in article, you can say you can edit basic page on any domain, or you can edit basic page only on assigned domains, and like that. So lots of permissions you get when you install this module. So another feature is integration with other modules. One of the most important, of course, is integration with views. You have views fields, use filter criteria, and all the other fields in views that you can use. So, for example, here you can print out the domain ID. This is especially useful for example, to put it later to rewrite some view to have it like an ID or class for usage in CSS. So, if you have one theme for all sites and you just want to switch colors, which we will see later that you can do this, then you just actually just print out the domain ID and you can set this by the domain ID. You also can have filter criteria when domain access is, when domain ID is, here you can see option current domain, which means that if I'm on one domain and I have a view of news articles, I only get the news articles that are in my domain ID. You can also specify the exact domain name. So the other integration with modules is context. For example, you also have different contexts. For those of you who work with context, know that if you want to show some block only on certain domains, you have it right here. So you can set a condition to do some response only on certain domains. So again, you can check 2, 3, 4 domains, or you can only check one domain. So inside the main module is of course the core module, and then you have some additional modules inside the main module. So one of them is domain alias. The main alias gives you the possibility to add an additional alias for domain. So if you have, you can put in here with www or without, or if you have, I don't know, domain1.com, and then you also have domain1.net, you can specify the additional alias for this domain. So the first alias name is the name you want to use, and then you can specify additional alias. Domain configuration actually gives you the ability to configure, to have additional configuration depending on the domain. Domain content module is actually a content overview per domain. So it's actually a view when you can see all the content and then filter it out with setting for domain. Domain navigation gives you blocks for domain navigation. So if you have 5 domains, you can put out a block of all the domains with links, of course, to the front page of each domain. Then you have domain settings. This is the part that I was talking before. So it gives you the ability to give settings to each of the domain, its own settings. Domain source is used when you want to have one domain to be as source domain. So if anything, for linking from other domains. So if you want one domain to be the main domain, so all the links on the other sites will link to that domain. So if you have domain2.com/ some news or something, and it will have a link to some other content. If we set to that other content that the main source is domain 1, then it will redirect to domain 1. So this is basically some module. All of these modules are separated in modules list, so you can enable them or disable them if you need them, if you don't need them. Domain strict just tells you that some user has to be part of the domain to watch all the content, and domain theme gives you the ability to give different themes for different domains, and it also gives you some additional settings for each domain, like let's say in theme settings, you get additional settings. Then, of course, you have lots of additional contributed models which are very useful, which are lots of modules. When I built first site on domain access, there wasn't so many modules like there is now. So these modules are building up. Of course, one of them is domain views. I already mentioned the integration. Domain path gives you the possibility to give the path, different path for each domain. So if you have one content, domain1.com/pathname1, you can set. You don't have to be that path name 1 is the same on domain 2, but you can set its own path on the other domain. So domain context, already told. Domain taxonomy, you can give taxonomy terms for and vocabularies for different domains. Of course, very useful for CEO is domain XML sitemap, which builds sitemap for each domain separately. So if you go to domain 1 sitemap.xml, you get a different sitemap than you get if you go to domain 2.com/sitemap.xml. So this is very important for CEO because we don't want to list in our sitemap XML. We don't want to list links that are not ours, that are not available on this domain, but we only want links that are available on the domain from which we access this sitemap.xml. This is the URL for all the others related contributed models. You will see there's a big list I think about 15 modules for Drupal 7 and also for some of modules for Drupal 6. So basically, as I said, I'm building the third page with domain now, and I didn't, till now, there wasn't anything that I couldn't find, or at least just write some simple hook. Actually, I didn't have to write a module for domain because everything was already available. Well, yeah, I do have an example, as I told you before. This is public holding Ljubljana with 4 affiliated companies. So you have a public holding Ljubljana and then 4 affiliated companies which are giving the people of Ljubljana the main public services. So this one is for energetics. The second one is water supply in Ljubljana. The third one is public transit. So basically all the buses are under this. And the fourth is waste collection and waste disposal. So every services that gives Ljubljana a clean place. So of course, one of the major issues here was we have 5 different domains. For each company has its own domain. We want to see these pages all visually be pretty much the same, just with different colors, because every company has different colors in their identity. So, and of course, we have some unique content for each company, and we also have some shared content. So if Public Holding Ljubljana publishes news and they see that this news might be also available for the other companies, they must have an option to put this news on other domains as well. And of course, the other thing is that users are set to 1 or more domains. So this is back to these permissions, as I told before, lots of permissions. So there's above user who has all the domains. He gets all the content, everything, and you have some small small users that are only on 1 domain, and maybe some users are on 3 domains, 2 domains. So this was really easily handled with the domain access. So actually, as I told you before, I'm a freelancer, and this is just, I was working on this project for this company, who, by the way, won the Web Agency of the Year for 2012. So here in Slovenia. So now I will go straight to the pages. So this is the main page. So this is Public Holding Ljubljana. As you can see over here, here are the other companies. And this is already a domain navigation block. So actually, this block just gives me all the available navigation. So if you see, all the pages are pretty much the same. Of course, they have different blocks, they have different banners and everything, but the layout is pretty much the same. One of the things you can see right here is news from all the companies. So every company has this block which opens like this, and you can see that here is a view of all the from all the other companies. So if the user decided that there's some news so important that it should be available from all sites, it just checks one box and the news will be shown in here. If we go a little back to the back side, so here I will go step by step to all the points that I was before. So actually, this is the domain settings page. You have to set your domain, your human readable name. Of course, if you have HTTP or HTTPS, domain status, weight, and of course the checkbox if this is the default domain. So default domain actually, as it's said here, if a URL request fails to match a domain record, the setting for this domain will be used. So this is some kind of default domain. The second part is when you start to building a new page. So this is a node add page. At the bottom here, you have domain access options. So this is just checking on which sites this content will be available. The next part is domain settings. As I said before, this is here is a date and time settings. So we have different formats, and if you want some specific format to be available only on one domain, you can set it here, and you just check, okay, I want this only on this domain, and save it, and all the other domains won't have this format. Then, of course, as I told you, the context. So this is some news, node type news of a specific taxonomy type, and here you have for condition which on which domain. So if you have some news, some content of the node type news with certain taxonomy and this domain, you can then react accordingly. Of course, there are for views, as I was saying before. If you just, I don't know if you can just check, we can see all the list here. So available on current domain, domain ID, node ID, user ID, domain, subdomain, domains valid. So actually, you have lots of filter options as well as the field options. So we have pretty much the same. The name of the place, the subdomain, if domain is valid, and so on. One of the things that I have to mention here is this block that I showed you already. It's actually this is not because as I told you before, domain access uses node access system, and node access system works like that only user one or the user with bypass node access control has all the content from all the other domains. If one content is only for one domain, all the other shouldn't see, even in that form, shouldn't see that content. But luckily enough, there is a small, so this is this view from companies, and luckily enough, this option here overrides this. So disable SQL rewriting, it says that disabling SQL rewriting will disable node access checks. So this is this was one of the issues that we were having, and we thought that we will have to build something for ourselves. But then actually I found this checkbox which says that no matter what, this option will rewrite node access control. But anyways, when you go to this page, the link to the content is, so I'm here on the energetics, and if I click here and go to, let's say, this news, I'm redirected to another company. So actually the link is to that company. It's just and if I go like this, let's say the core, and with this, you don't have an access, because this news is only available from the main domain. Actually, from this domain, from the third domain for water supply. So this is something that I found out when building this. Now, just to see in another action is this part of the page at the top. You can see that this content is available on different domains. So because it's important, it's on different domains, because it's not only for one company, but it's for other companies as well. And if you can see here, you have for first, third, and fifth domain. And if you check this, go to this page, and we have it here. And of course, we even made it like this. Oh, it's in the last place. So we also did this. So the order, the weight is different for each domain. So you can see that on this first page, there was this slider, this element on the first place, and on this side, it was in the last place. And maybe on some other side, I don't even know where it is. Yeah, it's also in the last place. So this is the same content, the same, the view takes the same content, but just shows it on all three domains. So yeah, as you can see here, so if I go back to this presentation, any other advices that I got when I was doing these sites, one of them is you have to consider, if you have some network of affiliated sites, you have to consider if you want to build a different theme or it's CSS solution enough, because you can see that if you just inspect this, here it is. All the body class, you get a body class for domain. So if you're on one domain, you get a body class for this domain, and this is very useful for CSS, especially of course if you combine it with less or SAS, because then you have different colors or some different elements that are only on certain domain. So you can see here that links on this side are blue, on this side are green. So actually, it's more or less just a CSS change, and we helped with this class that we get in the body, because we only set domain 1, and then we nested all the necessary classes below it. So this is one of the here it is. So this is one of the considerations that you have to think when you build a site. Another one is you really should plan all the domains and every connections and everything between these domains in the beginning, because when the user starts to fill the page with content, it's not as easy to make some changes. You have to plan really good plan of all the domains you have, of all the connections you have, as well as the users that you do have. And this is the next one: double check permissions, because sometimes you really, especially for this kind of site, when I think it's about 10 or 12 roles for different users, you have to check all the permissions, especially the one that apply to the node access control. Here's one important thing to mention is that all the modules that use node access are applying the same permissions. So I know that organic groups also do with node access control, and if you set some access on organic groups, it will also apply to the main access. So you have to be very careful when dealing with node access if you don't want users or visitors to see too much of your page. So this is about it. I just went through the main features. Of course, there's lots of stuff you can read from this module. As you can see, it's a pretty big module. And it's building up. It's rising every here and there. There is a new module available. So actually, this is about it. So if anyone has any question, you can do it now. This is my contact if you would like to ask me maybe even later. If you have some similar situations and you would like to deal with it and don't know how to start with it, you can ask me or find me later. Oh, no one? Okay, then I'll just have to thank you for your time and for listening to me.
Ooh.